I'm Dwayne Lester, and this is The Paradigm Shift. Wow, the last paradigm shift received such pushback from progressives that I thought it was worth the time to respond in a new video. But before we get into some of the points made in the comments, I want to make it clear from the start that no one, not one person, refuted my premise that the forced redistribution of wealth by government is immoral. I can report that multiple straw men were assembled and then destroyed with extreme prejudice, but not one person cared to address whether using force to take the property of one person and use it to meet the need of another is moral or immoral, because they can't refute the fact that it's immoral. Instead, they resort to comments like this. Georgia Girl writes, "As a parent with a disabled child, I'm disgusted at the lack of compassion for those who can't fend for themselves, can't breathe on their own, can't go to the bathroom without full assistance, and much more." Her statement is hyperbolic and wrong, and is a shining example of a person only focusing on what is seen and ignoring what is not seen. When Medicaid was created, it gave birth not to only one effect, the poor getting a subsidy for their health care needs, but created a series of events that go unseen. In 2013, Medicaid took $438 billion out of the economy, and since its creation in 1965, it's taken an adjusted $5.2 trillion out of the economy. Now, people see the benefit of this, people going to the hospital, and the government pays, but what goes unseen? What would that money have created if left in the hands of the taxpayers? What jobs would it have paid for that would have lifted people out of poverty so they didn't need Medicaid at all? How many more people went unemployed, went hungry, or went homeless because that money was taken by the government, laundered through the bureaucracy, and spent on health care made more expensive because of government's involvement? How much did the existence of Medicaid impact the cost of health care completely, making it more expensive for everyone? How is it compassionate to do that? How is it compassionate to deny people homes or jobs or income? It isn't. It's selfish. So when you look at what goes unseen, you can see there's no such lack of compassion because Medicaid isn't compassionate. It's destructive. Now, she also assumes that those opposed to legalized plunder inherent in Medicaid are uncaring about those Medicaid helps. That's untrue. I care deeply about those who need medical treatment and can't afford it. I'm just not willing to use force to get them treated and feel a freer healthcare market paired with the unmatched charity of the American people would better provide for their needs than the federal government. Another commenter, Ska Hayes, writes, "What a pile of garbage. First of all, no one is holding a gun to your head. Taxes are part of living in a civilized society. It's in the Constitution." Now, no one's holding a gun to my head right now, but what happens if I don't pay my fair share? Well, I get a letter from the IRS telling me I owe, and what happens if I ignore that? I get another, and then I get a visit, and the visits continue until someone with a gun comes to my home and tells me I need to report to the nearest federal jail for tax evasion. See, when it comes to law, there's always a gun somewhere. And taxes can be part of a civilized society, but how do you define civilized? If I come to your house and take your stuff and give it to my neighbor because I think they need it more, would that be civilized? No, that's a violation of your rights, isn't it? Is it civilized to expect those that can produce to contribute according to their ability, while the government gives to those according to their need? That seems to be the foundation of Medicaid. It's also the foundational belief behind Marxism. And there are 100 million dead people who will tell you that's not a civilized society. Civilized society isn't one where people petition power to violate the rights of others to get what they want, but one where power is used to protect the rights of everyone, even the producers. That's what the Constitution was created for, to protect rights, not provide for needs. Now, also from Ska Hayes comes this comment. It's cheaper to treat sick people in a doctor's office than in an emergency room. I don't disagree. The problem is expanding Medicaid doesn't fix this problem. Peter Suderman at Reason.com writes, emergency room visits are up significantly more in expansion states than in non-expansion states, according to a new study by the Colorado Hospital Association, which examined 450 hospitals in 25 states. Medicaid expansion states saw a 5.6% increase in emergency room department visits in the second quarter of this year compared with the same period last year. And he added later, the increased utilization in the expansion states is not only significantly higher than in states that didn't expand, it's more than what might have been expected based on data from the previous 2 years. So yeah, there's that. And finally, a commenter left this: hospitals cannot refuse treatment to anyone, which means that there are a lot of people who never pay. Not a lesser amount, they pay $0 because they cannot pay. They added, hospitals are eager to get anything versus absolutely nothing. See, this is a common problem. How many laws passed today are needed to address the unintended consequences of previous laws? I'd wager a majority, but I'm speculating. Because the government implemented an illegitimate use of force against a hospital to force it to work for free doesn't justify the violation of every American's property rights to make up the difference, which is precisely what the previous comment is saying. Now, I'm not for hospitals turning out patients because they can't pay or don't have insurance. I just can't see that happening today, and I think the solution for the problem is best solved by private hospital associations, not the government. See, all of these comments have one thing in common: the belief that if the government doesn't solve the problem, no one will. And that's ridiculous. The government is rarely the solution and often the problem. Less government in healthcare would result in lower costs, higher quality, and greater access, and would give people greater compulsion to show true compassion by willingly donating time and money to charity hospitals and charitable causes. Now, some call me a utopian, but I won't apologize for trusting the American people to do things better than the government. That's the paradigm shift. I'm Dwayne Lester. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more of them in the future, please consider making a donation to the Missouri Torch here. And please subscribe to our new YouTube channel and visit us at themissouritorch.com.